Okay, today we're going to do a quick update from Tuesday's video talking about the Ducati 999. As I stated before, mine's a 2005, minor bolt-ons, nothing crazy. Was experiencing pretty much a lack of throttle response. I mean, you could twist the thing wide open at 4,000 RPMs and nothing would happen except for dump raw fuel out the back. The bike has had weird throttle things since I purchased it. Knowing this, I negotiated the price down substantially to cover what could potentially be coming. I'm one of those people that if I don't know what's wrong with it, I'm going to buy it cheap enough to where if I need to replace the entire engine, I'm going to be alright. It's not going to cost me more than what I would have paid for the bike originally in prime condition. So, Ducati calls Wednesday morning after we talked last, and tells me that they can source the dreaded throttle position sensor, or potentiometer, as the manual states it. They told me that, and like we talked about last time, I could source one for right under $90 with overnight shipping from Florida to Kansas City, Missouri. They come back and tell me that they can get the sensor. Their Ducati tech went home, looked through his notes on the 999, and found that you can still order these sensors. So, are you sitting down? Because, of course, we've already said the dreaded D word, Ducati. Instead of $90 with overnight shipping, I'm looking at about $170 with overnight shipping. When this problem presented itself, the first thing that went through my mind was, wow, what a markup. The second thing that went through my mind was a little bit more sensible. It was, well, now, if it comes in and doesn't work, it's on them. If I order it, provide it to them, and it doesn't work, then I have to submit warranty claims, return the part, whatever. So pretty much, I'm paying them to do the job twice in the worst case scenario. If I get a bad one out of the box, or if I were to like order the $10 eBay one that wouldn't work. So they makes more sense to me to pay the little bit extra money and have all the liability on them. Because keep in mind, this thing takes about $250 worth of labor to change. So I went ahead and authorized the repair again. So my total before was like $483. Now I'm knocking on the door like $670 with tax, which is outrageous to me for something that should cost, I'll call it $90 for the sensor. What? Should be able to do the oil change myself for about $60, and then you're looking at maybe 3 hours to do all of it. The key to this, though, is that you need the Ducati software, which I have ordered the cables to be able to tap into the ECU myself, but they have to come from China, and importing anything from China takes forever. I think like the estimated delivery dates between August 3rd and August 20th, which is an incredibly sized window. Those can be had off eBay or Amazon. Amazon doesn't offer prime shipping on it or anything like that, so either way you go, you're looking about the same time window. You just then plug into your laptop, you download a software after giving a donation online to a guy in France, and it's over. You have the Ducati diagnostic tool in your computer, which is what you're paying for really when you go to Ducati. I'm not saying that their techs aren't great, but most of this stuff is something you can easily do, that you encounter with them. Until you get to major engine rebuilds and timing, which the timing chains I don't want to do anyways, because it's not that I don't think I can't do them, I just would rather put that liability on somebody else. So, that's pretty much the update with the 999. I'll pick it up tomorrow. I already threw my helmet, jacket, and gloves in my car for tomorrow, so when I get off work, that's the first place I'm headed. I will pick it up, see how it runs. It's going to be amazing to start it without having to use a cold start lever, which will be great. Sorry, dogs like to fight, apparently. And that should, just being able to start it without the cold start high idle lever will be amazing to me. It's been that way since I first got it. And, you know, all their work is guaranteed. The oil change, like I said, I'm not saying that it didn't need it. I'm not saying that it did need it, but I'd rather pay the money while I have it in there anyways, just so that way I know where it's at. And they wanted to do that anyways for a tune. With the 999, I'm excited. There are a couple things that you have to get used to when purchasing one though. And this goes for a lot of Ducatis, is the number one thing is going to be the dry clutch, or race clutch, open clutch, however you want to word it. Mine has a dry, open race clutch. What this gives you is a very distinct idle noise coming from the clutch, which if you don't know what that noise is, you would swear you're throwing a rod. Ducati does the open dry clutch for two reasons. First, racing. By racing, I mean when you're using like my Gixxer 1000 motor, it uses a wet clutch, which kind of has a negative to it that you don't really notice until you start wondering what the hell that noise is. That weirdness comes from the clutch being dry, the cover being open. When you have a Gixxer, or pretty much any other sport bike out there, you have a wet clutch. Well, in racing, they don't like to use those. Reason being, you're taking your engine oil and running it across your friction plates on your clutch, which any kind of contaminants or pieces that are naturally going to come off any clutch, because it's a wear and tear item, it's not meant to last forever, is going into your oil pan. Now granted, it's going through an oil filter before it goes through the entire engine, but still I kind of see their point to it. When you're just going to absolutely ride these things ragged on the track, it's not a bad idea. The only issue with it being is the noise. Like I said, it sounds like you're throwing a rod almost. My dad heard it for the first time. He was quite blown away by the noise. And then when I held the clutch lever in, he's like, oh, okay. So that is one thing I will probably be addressing down the road. There are several rules of thought on this. One of them being a clutch mod, which is where you take one of the inner discs and switch it, so that way you have friction on the inside instead of metal on metal. That'll get rid of a lot of the noise. The other thing that you can do is you can enclose it, which then you need to take the cover off, roughly, let's call it every 2,000 miles, and get all the dust out of there. Well, I mean, I'll be lucky to ride that on both my bikes in a year. I just don't get out much with these things. They're not a mode of transportation for me. I mean, I have a work truck and a couple of cars, but they're a luxury item, I guess I would say it. Some people do boats. I choose motorcycles. Which, either way you go, it's going to be expensive for the most part. Future mods for this thing. Right now, part of the reason why I fell in love with it is it was a yellow 999. In 999s, you might see one yellow for every 10 ones that you'll actually end up coming across. When you like Google it, you probably won't see a yellow one unless you do some serious scrolling. Now, mine is just a regular 999. It's nothing special. There being SRs and what they ended up calling the last one, which is a Xerox edition, which those bikes with decent mileage, you'll still see those things go for 15 to 20 grand, depending on exactly where they are at on mileage and maintenance. If I'm going to spend 20 grand on a brand new bike, it's going to be an S1000RR HP4 or a R1M, because those bikes, both of them are, I mean, the S1000 is starting to age, but you know there's going to be an update coming, but with the driver aids that are on it, especially on an HP4, I mean, they're amazing. On an R1M, if you can look at that bike and honestly tell me it's not gorgeous, I mean, whether you like Yamaha or not, that is a beautiful, beautiful bike. Much above that, then you start getting, and you can even do a Ducati 1298 for that now, the base one. Now, up above that, you start looking at H2, Ducati 1298 Limited, or that's about as the middle of the range bikes as you can go. Then you get into the H2R and the 1298 Final Edition, which is what they're calling the last run of the 1298 now. Both of those are gorgeous bikes, but for something that I'm not going to ride that much, it's not really a smart investment for me. I want something that if I drop it, oh well. I don't want to feel married to it. I don't want to make payments on it. I don't want anything. The bikes are great. I'm sure they ride tremendously better, especially with all the rider aids, but like I said, for me, it's not worth it. Probably better for me to have 3 or 4 nice bikes than one crazy bike. I have no interest in dirt anymore, so I don't really ride that anymore. I had a couple of YZs, which are Yamahas. They were great bikes, probably the best running dirt bikes that I've ever got on. Extremely reliable. Can't beat them for the reliability. I've never owned any of the R1s, but I'm sure like when you get into the cross-plane technology, things sound great, look great, they're just magical. 1299, probably what I'll end up doing with it is it already has a Zarda exhaust, which is, according to Ducati, their guys had never seen something like that. When I went to look at with my power programmers loading a custom map, this is why I let them tune it. The only one that I could find with a Zarda exhaust was a EU map, not a US. And I didn't think that that was probably a smart idea to upload, so I didn't. Why, hello, dog. Other than that, this is my Great Dane. Sorry, she's a punk. Other than that, for me, I think that... Will you quit? Probably all carbon fiber fairings, true carbon fiber, not painted or not wrapped. With a matte black tank, because you can't get a carbon fiber tank and you can't leave it yellow. Obviously with carbon fiber fairings, it's just going to look goofy. Let's just politely say that. I am going to go that route myself. I think that's the way to go for me. The exhaust is already done. With the custom tune, it'll put down 150 horsepower and I think the guy said 91 foot-pounds of torque, which they had to do a lot of tweaking to get it, but they got it. So I can't really hate on them for that. For that, it's worth the money. Granted, that's with a Power Commander 3, exhaust, air filters, ECU. I mean, that's everything pretty much that you can throw at this thing without starting to really spend some money or starting to harm your engine, such as nitrous, which... Nitrous is a beautiful thing if you know what you're doing with it, but it's just not an experience for me. When it comes to these cars and motorcycles, I try to pick things that are charismatic, as me and my brother would call it. They are things that drive a certain way, behave a certain way, make you feel like you're either part of the machine or the machine yourself. I have a 300ZX that we're currently in the process of building, which is a 90, I think it's a 93. Got the body all cleaned up. Gonna start working on the engine. It was originally a 2+2, but I've got a twin turbo that is built and ready to go into it. It'll probably be good for about 600 horsepower. I stayed automatic with mine because I hate to say it, but I'm getting old and I don't want to shift in traffic anymore. Just don't. I have a stick, which is my other charismatic, which not a lot of people know anything about, but If you do some research and start looking at potential of this thing, you would be amazed. This car comes from the 2004, 5, 6, 7 region, which was dominated traditionally by the Evo, STI, Cobalt SS, GTI, all that stuff. Back then, kids, those are the things everybody wanted. What snuck under the radar for most people is what's called a Volvo S60R edition. These things, in the right trim, which would be, for me, is a 6-speed manual, not the automatic, they're magical. Gated shifter, extremely well handling, all-wheel drive, turbo 5-cylinder, which, if you've never heard one of those that has been opened up a little bit, imagine a V10 muted just a little bit. They are a great sounding car. Dual zone climate control, automatic, adjustable suspension straight from the cabin, so you can adjust between comfort, sport, and advanced. Dynamic stability, traction control. I mean, these things were geared from the get-go. A couple of weird quirks with it is you get the wiper headlights and goofy stuff like that, but you also get steering wheel mounted controls for your audio, LED gauges, which not like today's gauges where they're LED powered. These ones are lit LED wise. They don't have a backlight, they just have LEDs that shine down on them. Mine is black with blue leather with the R package sport edition on it, so it's got like some lower valances and stuff like that to make it look just a little bit more aggressive. Nothing crazy. The trunk's the size of Texas, with the back seat being the size of Rhode Island. Like, I have a kid and she's 1 and I can barely get her car seat in the back. Let's put it that way. For a 4-door, that's ridiculous. And then you launch this thing, and that's when the magic happens. It's unbelievable. This is a car that can click off 0 to 60 in the upper 4s, low 5s, depending on how good you are at launching it. The one thing is you don't want to launch it too high because they're not bulletproof, such as like an STI is. You could launch an STI hard all day long and you might go through a clutch. But this car has soul. It's something that when you drive it, you feel like you're a piece of the machine. That's the reason why I bought the Ducati too, because when you when you ride that thing, you feel like you're one with the bike. It's a completely different experience than my Suzuki is. It's hard to explain it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, find somebody who has one that you can ride, try it, and you'll love it. Anyways, that's pretty much it as far as all this goes. I'm going to update you tomorrow or Saturday whenever I get home and let you know how everything turned out. Definitely the number one thing I can advise you on the Ducati is do not buy both throttle bodies. Either take it home and replace the sensor yourself if your Ducati dealership won't do it, and provide them the receipt, or find a cool Ducati dealership like I did. Like I said, Kurt at Reno's Power Sports in South Kansas City has taken very good care of me. He's kind of been a wise ass a couple of times, but I'm sure that I have been too. So, anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything like that, feel free to leave them at the bottom. I look at them every day, so I'll respond to you or let you know what I think or tell you I don't care. Just like I said, just let me know what you guys are thinking or what you guys are wondering, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions on any of this stuff. Once the Ducati's back and in prime condition, then we're going to be looking at a new color for the Suzuki. Really like this metallic copper color that you can get. It looks pretty good. So I'll probably end up going that route. Let me know what you guys think on that. And other than that, you guys have a good evening, and I will talk to you when I get back with the Ducati. Give you guys a full walk around for the first time, stuff like that, let you know what all I'm thinking about doing and how I want to go about it. Of course, I want you guys to be part of this experience, so if you feel something is just absolutely goofy looking or is going to be goofy looking, let me know and I'll be happy to maybe think about changing it. Probably not, but maybe. As always, thanks again, guys.